Hey there, good morning, everyone. I am Andrew Dina, and I'm here with my co-host RJ Johnson. We
Good
just
morning,
wanted to
everyone.
welcome you to the MLS training. So we're going to start here in a few minutes. We're going to let the rest of the attendees show up. Just a few things to go over real quick, and we'll cover this again. We are not allowing any AI assistants to take notes. So if we see any of those, we're going to remove those. Any questions or concerns can be thrown into the Q&A chat, and then we will either answer them live um, or through the chat itself. RJ, did you want anything added on that?
No, that's pretty much it. I already saw one AI assistant that we took down. But I understand they're a new tool. They're a useful tool, but we're going to be releasing a recording of the training later this week. So if you need to refer back for notes, it'll be there on SFR Social.
Awesome.
I see 20 plus attendees already. Happy to have you all on board.
Likewise. We'll give a few more minutes here and then we'll get started. And then RJ, can you verify everybody can see my screen okay? Should be the landing page.
I'm seeing the landing page. If anyone is not seeing Andrew's resource panels landing page on their Zoom screen, go ahead and raise your hand. I'm seeing a distinct lack of hands, which is a good sign.
Awesome. See here. All right. I think we're good to go from here. RJ, what do you think?
I think we should be good. And let's see, we've got last count a little over 30 of the attendees who registered. Welcome all. So let's get the show rolling.
All right. Let me see here. Let me check one more thing. Um, All right. So the first thing that we are going to go over here is the dashboard. Again, good morning, everyone. My name is Andrew, and I am joined by my co-host RJ Johnson. We're going to get started here. Um, like I said, I hope everybody can see my screen, and given the lack of any questions about it, I'm going to consider that as a green light to go. So the first thing that we can see here are the core MLS tools, and that is where we are going to use the MLS tile here. So we're going to access it here at this point, and we're going to go into the MLS dashboard, which is a good thing to distinguish between the two in case you ever give us a call and are having trouble. Um, we're going to go into creating new listings, and you can do so by going into the listing dropdown and selecting enter new listing. Now, the first step here that you will see is the select a county, which defaults to San Francisco, but you also have the option to go through the dropdown and select any other county that you might be listing in. So, of course, for sake of example, I will stick with San Francisco and continue. Before I hit continue, I want to stress how important this is because once you move forward into the listing entry page, you can't go back and change the county. Same thing for the next selection here for the property type. Again, defaults to residential because that's usually what we use, but there are other options. So slow down a bit when you're entering or when you're starting to enter your listing, just to make sure that you have everything correct, because these are some things that you cannot change going forward. One thing that we like to teach here is to use the search county records when you are entering a listing because it makes your life a little bit easier. It pulls information from tax records and it doesn't make you enter them on your own. It just does it automatically. So we'll go here, hit search county records. You can do so by either entering the address, and anytime you're doing so, I try to encourage you guys to make sure that you use the least information as possible in order to bring back as many search results as you can. I won't use the street address now. What I am going to use, oops, excuse me, what I am going to use is the APN number. We're going to use 360-089, hit search. And when we hit search, we should pull up a South Van Ness address, 986 South Van Ness, which we are. You can do the select button here, or you can also check it off to move forward. We'll hit the select button. We'll see that it puts the information in where it should be. The problem with this one, which is why we're using this as an example, is the directional. For this specific address and this street name, we run into a lot of issues that can be problematic when you get to the next page. So this should not have a directional. It should actually be part of the street name for South Van Ness. Next thing here, what we're going to do is place the pin on map, which is another very important city required. Oh, didn't pull up. I'm wondering if that's what was causing that issue earlier, RJ, that we were talking about.
Yeah. Well, again, but things to keep an eye out as you're going through here is that, and we'll use another one to illustrate how things get pulled in fully and correctly. But as you're entering this, the notion is, hey, the system is doing all the work for me. Everything's great. Everything's copacetic. Ultimately, it's your listing and your responsibility. So whatever data is being populated for you, you always want to take a moment, check everything, dot your I's, cross your T's. And in this case, we actually need to add in the city and the zip code, which, let's see, what is that for South Van Ness?
Don't remember. Oh, it's our zip code. I should have known that.
94110. There we go.
Okay, so let's go to scopes, and then we should be able to place the pin on map.
And again, you can zoom in and out by scrolling in with your scroll wheel on this. So if you want to check to see um, that, no, okay, sorry,
This one's not letting me.
yeah,
I'm going to go ahead and use
okay,
our address just because this one's being a little complicated.
fair enough.
Let's go back here. Let's just start from the jump.
And once again, we're going to sell off 301 Grove Street because we enjoy doing that during trainings.
Yes. So now when it populates correctly and we place the pin on map, it will allow us to verify, okay, this is exactly where we're at. This is good to go. But if we needed to, if this was incorrect, we are able to move that pin placement. That one from the previous address was way off for some reason. So not a big deal. We'll move forward here. Again, you do have that option to move the pin when it is incorrect. So we'll go here, hit continue to listing input, and then let it load and do its thing. You have the option here at the very top to use either all fields or required only. Required only is going to just bring up the red and asterisk text. That's going to shorten the fields that you have to touch. Again, a lot of these fields are going to be populated with the information that you pulled from your tax records. First thing you want to start off with are the statuses. You have the option for coming soon. You have the option for active and for sold off MLS. Sold off MLS listings are for just that, listings that were sold off the MLS at some point in time, meaning they never touched the MLS and you're putting them in for comp purposes for other agents to use. Um, so with that, they never had any days on market or any of the other pending dates or such. Now, when you
That's
click
correct.
on this, and you'll notice that the fields kind of rearrange from the other two. So you start with your closing information first and then scroll down to the rest of the listing information. Doesn't really change anything else but that. Coming soon allows you to put the listing on the MLS without accruing days on market until your on market date is reached, which is here. So it's very important. This is another kind of field, I guess, that we can discuss that you can't go back and change once you've gone live. So if you select today's date for a coming soon listing, it will go live today. If you select it for tomorrow's date, it's going to go live tonight at midnight. And again, we cannot put it back on coming soon.
Andrew, let me hop in here for a second.
Go for it.
With coming soon, um, you are, pardon me, you will be prompted to set your coming soon date in the future because the system has been programmed to go, if it's coming soon, it can't go coming soon. You can't have an on-market date of the same date you're saying it's coming soon. So today's the 26th. If you were to put in the 26th as your on-market date and you'd selected coming soon as your status, when you try to launch the listing, you'd get a little pop-up message saying you need a different date. So your on-market date can be set into the future. It has to be set into the future. And as long as you're in coming soon, you can edit the on-market date to reflect changes in the marketing plan or, things that might have changed with your listing. Let's say you're doing a redress of the property or you're doing a remodeling for the plumbing or something like that, and the contractors are taking too long. Well, if your on-market date originally is going to be March 1st, but now they're not going to be done until March 15th, you can push the on-market date back while it's in coming soon status. Once it goes from coming soon to active, that's when your on-market date is locked in and is unchangeable.
Correct. And that's when you also start accruing the days on market count,
Yep.
which is often confused with the listing period. The listing period is just when you have the listing agreement signed. But let's jump back to the top here and go into active. Property subtype is just another description of the property itself. Since it's residential, is it single family residential? Is it a halfplex, two houses on a lot, condo, so forth?
I'm going to
Um,
interject something here too, because we'll get this question occasionally.
mhm,
Um, a halfplex is not some variant on a duplex. If you're going to have a listing that is a duplex or a triplex, some sort of multi-unit property, that's actually under residential income and not residential. So if that's what you're
correct.
trying to do, remember, always set the listing type correctly first, but don't try to have halfplex make up lost ground for you. End of
Correct.
interjection.
The other, where's my cursor? Here we go. The other check boxes here are for the subtype description. So is the building attached? Is it detached? Is it full? Is it a junior suite? Is it considered a flat? And so forth. Now, it is required, so you have up to 6 entries that are allowed. So if you have more than 6 entries, we always just say choose the best ones that describe it, and then you can save the rest for the private remarks, which we'll get to in a little bit. Um, Listing price. When you have the listing price on a coming soon status, that can be changed up until you go active, and that will be the original price. So just keep that in mind. As long as you're in coming soon, You can change the price until you go active, and it will reflect as the original price. Once it goes active and you change it, it's going to show an increase or a decrease. That's
Coming
a little
soon.
confusing. So if you have any questions on that, feel free to raise your hand and we can go over that.
Coming
RJ, did
soon
you
in a
want to
way.
say something on that?
Yeah, I was gonna say coming soon is kind of like Las Vegas. What happens in coming soon stays in coming soon. So you're using it as a chance to try out different pricing strategies. You can adjust that. But once it goes from coming soon to active, the only person who's going to see the history of what you did in coming soon is going to be you as the agent and your broker. To any other agent who's looking at the listing history, they're going to
Mhm.
see day zero as the day it went to active status and nothing before
Correct.
then.
Correct. And then again, of course, we get the on market date field. Today is the 25th, and I am on an active status. So I will, or excuse me, the 26th. So I will select the 26th. If I happen to select the 27th, once we hit submit, we will get a error saying that the listing is not approved. If ever you see that error, know that it's the incorrect on market date that was selected. It's really the only explanation for it. Again, listing period is when you got the listing agreement signed, which can be any day um, prior to the on market date, of course, and that's not going to affect your day on market count. Expiration date is just that. That is the date that you set with your client to have the listing agreement expire. And then the listing agreement itself is either exclusive right to sell, seller reserved, exclusive right to lease, open, or net. Um, we usually see exclusive right to sell. I can't think of an example where I've seen a few of the others. RJ, have you?
No, I've not. And that's if
Okay,
there's questions about the type of listing agreement, that's going to be a question between you and your broker.
absolutely. All right, as we scroll down here, you'll see QT again, but you notice that it is set and blacked out. So I want to stress on this one more time. This is where we cannot change it. You have to change that at the first step when you're entering the listing. We cannot go back. You would have to start over at that point. You can go back and search county records again if for some reason the APN isn't showing up properly. Then again, down the rest of these fields, you're just going to enter any of the other information if you see fit. Cross Street for Grove, we're going to enter Franklin. Area and district should already be populated because you pulled that from the county records and it's going based off the street table. If for some reason you do not see this populated, um, that's usually an issue with the area that they're pulling it from in the county records. You can contact us and we can do our research to make sure that you have the right one and we'll enter that for you. Um, if this is blank, it will not let you move forward. So what you would want to do at that point is just save the listing as an incomplete. And let me verify a little bit more on that. When I say move forward, it's not, it'll let you fill out the rest of the listing information. It just won't let you submit the listing. So at that point, once you've completed everything, you'll get an error saying that you can't move forward. Just save as incomplete, contact us, and we will assist you. So the publish to internet option is just that. It's your public marketing tool. If you select yes, it's going to give you these options down below if you want to show the address to the public, if you want to show it on virtual office websites, which is what a VOW is. Same thing for the address on VOW. Display the AVM on the internet. That is the evaluated. Ooh, hold on. Blanking out on this one, RJ. Can you help me out?
I'm sorry.
Automated Evaluator Module. I think that's what it
Let's
stands for.
see. Yeah, something like automatic valuation model. It is a
Yeah,
way of it's the general term for like um, brand
Zillow's
name
estimate.
yeah, Zestimate, that sort
Yeah,
of thing. So it allows people to calculate uh, their best guess as to what the property should be selling for.
right. Now, speaking of Zillow's estimate, although it gives you the option here to display an AVM, yes or no, this will not affect their estimate tool just because that is based off of their own algorithm, and this toggle does not affect that. So keep that in mind. Um, Show comments on VOW, yes or no. Again, completely up to you. These are comments that can be made by the public on your property. So you have that little bit of control whether or not you want those to show. And then, of course, photos provided by, you're going to select which ever fit from the drop down. Oops. Jesus, I cannot click today. And then showing instructions, again, whatever you see fit for that client, whether you discuss 24-hour notice, appointment only, call the showing contact, whether that's you or that's your co-listing agent or somebody else in your office, maybe your assistant. Um, but you have up to 8 selections allowed. So go ahead and enter whatever you see fit work for you. Any of the legacy ones are some that do not display, but we keep them on for um, not clear cooperation, but for
It's what we get to see them as MLS support because we
yes,
may be
thank you.
researching something that predates a change in the system, and we need to see that data.
Yeah.
Along
So
those
it's
lines, Andrew, I'm going to spin off here.
oh yeah,
Uh,
go for it.
you'll notice that there is a box there marked other, and that does not mean, oh, I don't see what I want to put in there, so I'm going to click other. Other is actually reserved for data we're pulling in from a different MLS. So not
Correct.
only is this screen the listing entry screen, but it's also the listing, the display of listing values when we're researching information in the MLS. So other is really not something you want to select as a way of describing your property. Um,
Right.
find the best fit, and as Andrew has been saying, use the private remarks to expand on that where necessary.
Yeah, which is right across here. If you don't see something in here that works for you, select see remarks and then enter it there. This way you can describe it the way you need to, get what you need to, and they know to check that area. And then from there, we can go down to occupant type, which is pretty simple. You either still have the owner in there, they have a tenant in there, or it's vacant. Um, we're going to get down to some public remarks down below. So I want to go on this real quick with vacant. You can select this, and this is what is considered agent information, meaning it's not public. So you have no problem selecting vacant and verifying that the property is vacant. That's not going to go to public sites. Listing service, whether you're just entering the listing on the MLS only, that would be entry only. If you're doing like an exclusive right to sell, that would be more full service. Then you also have limited service. You also
Most
have the
of the
lots. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but I say most of the time we've seen full service as the vast majority of the entries here. Again,
Right.
if you're not sure about what your listing contract covers, check in with your broker.
Absolutely. You have your lot size source here. Being that we pulled all of this information off of the tax records, it defaults to assessor autofill. Now you have a few different options here. Let's say that you verified in other documents that the lot size is not correct at 5105. You can say assessor agent fill, meaning you verified some information based off the assessor documents, but you're updating it. If you have something else like it was measured by yourself or the graphic artist, then of course you'd put that as well, or in lieu of the other one, I should say. Your bedroom count, you have a drop down that you can select from there. Again, all of this will be auto-populated when you pull from tax records, but if for some reason it is incorrect, you have the option to change it. And this has no bedrooms, of course, because we are using the office building, and we're putting it in as a residential for the sake of example. Year build source is pretty much the same thing. I'm going to use assessor agent fill here just because we don't have that information. Special listing conditions. Go through again, these might change with every property that you have. You know, they're not all going to be the same. So go with whatever works for your property that you're entering. Again, others should not be just used if you don't see anything in here. Select what you can, and if it's not selected, or if you don't see the selection that you need, put that in the comments. Any questions so far before we move on to public remarks? Do you see anything, RJ?
No, nothing that hasn't been answered via chat.
Okay. Now, you'll notice that we have this red text here, but there's nothing showing for required fields. So I'm going to expand here just to kind of give you a reference of what we're looking at. So public and private remarks are not required. However, it would be a good idea for you to enter this information because public remarks is how you are going to describe the property that you are trying to sell. And private remarks are going to be anything that you cannot put in the public remarks or anything that you want the agents looking at the property to read. So let's go over some rules real quick for public remarks. Public remarks only use the public remarks section for providing an accurate and detailed description of the property, its condition, and any relevant amenities. Do not put the following information into the public remarks: contact information, showing or selling instructions, offer dates, use of private remarks, of course, commission or compensation information, virtual tours, lockbox or security codes that are indicating that the property is vacant, which we kind of already went over earlier. So again, if you are not sure if it should be in the public remarks, you can put it in the private remarks. That is MLS access only. Again, public remarks are just a way to describe the property, its amenities, and any surrounding notes. Close to BART, um, shopping centers, stuff of that sort. RJ, did you have anything to add on these, Mr. Compliance?
Thank you, Andrew. Yes,
Of course.
the thing you want to keep in mind for keeping out of the public remarks is anything that it sounds kind of tautological, but if it's not about the property, don't put it in the public remarks. And what I mean by that is some people have on their flyers, ABC Brokerage is proud to present 123 Main Street. You can mention 123 Main Street all you want, but you can't publicize your brokerage, your name, your contact information, whether that's by phone or email or fax. The public remarks is only about the property and its amenities. If you want to give instructions for who to contact, that can go in the private remarks. Please contact my assistant, Bob, at, 415-555-1212, that sort of thing. Um, Email addresses, and as we'll discuss in a little bit, links to disclosure packages.
Yes. I'm going to keep all fields expanded for a bit because I want to go over some things here. If we go for required fields only, you are going to miss a lot of this stuff. And although it's not required, it can be a bit helpful. These are really just additional search criteria checkboxes for the other agents who are searching for their client. So if they are, adamant about having a breakfast area because it's important to the family, you may want to check that off if your property fits it. Um, Other things as well for interior features, cathedral ceilings, formal entry. If all of that stuff fits, it's not going to hurt you to add it to your property description. Again, it's just not required. And the good thing about the listing entry too is, let's say you're just kind of pressed for time and you need to get it on the MLS, you can go through with your required fields only and publish it just so you get it on and satisfy your clients and your contract. And then if you want to go back later on and add some of these things, you're more than welcome to. It's not going to prohibit you from making any edits in the future. So I'll go back to required fields here and then scroll down. Um, and this is actually a good time to do this too. So you'll see that total parking spaces are set to 0. Well, let's say that you have 1, or we can do 2. And you hit enter or check out. You'll see that more required fields populate, right? We didn't have these prior. So you're going to go through and select what fits. Okay. Property type, is it on site? If it's single family, it should be. If it's a condo, are they assigned or are they mapped? Stuff like that. Also, are there parking fees? For a single family, I would think not. Parking access, is it independent, side by side, or tandem? and are parking hours limited? Some places are, but for a single family, I would think not. And then again, the check boxes come up for the parking features. You have 8 that are allowed, so go ahead and select whichever work. EV charging would be a good one nowadays. Whether you have no garage, interior access, stuff like that would be something that you want to put in there. And then, of course, if you don't see anything that should be here or that works for your property, select see remarks and put that in the private remarks or the public remarks, actually, either one. Again, if there is an association, you hit yes, you're going to come up with another required field for the fees. Now, the issue that we run into here with the association fees is they don't allow decimal places. So it can't be $150.25 a month. You're going to have to round up or round down and then specify that in the contract or in the agent remarks so your potential clients are aware of it, potential buyers, I should say. And then, of course, when you enter that, you'll see another one here for the frequency. Say it's 150 a month. And then, of course, possession. When are you going to take, or when are they going to take possession of the home? Is it at close of escrow? Are you guys going to do a rental agreement? Is it subject to tenant rights if it is tenant occupied? Again, if you don't see something here that works for your property, see remarks and we can talk about that. You can also say contact agent in those remarks. Um, and yeah, go from there. I thought there was one other thing that I missed. Might have to expand it here. Any questions so far while I'm looking for that?
Nothing so far. Or more accurately, things that have come up have been answered, but no pending questions. And please, if you have anything that's you're not sure about, put it in the questions. There is no such thing as a bad question at this point. That's exactly why we're here. Is we'd much rather you ask
Correct.
them now. And in fact, if you don't think about it until 5 minutes after the training wraps up, contact us still.
Oh yeah.
You can email the MLS, you can call the MLS, but as I'm fond of saying, it's always better to ask a question than to have to answer for a mistake.
Yeah.
And we want to make your life listing and selling property in San Francisco as stress-free as possible. We know that's kind of a tall mountain to climb, but anything we can do to make sure you have a better understanding, a clearer comprehension of what's going on here, we're here for you. Oh, we've got a
Yes, and that
question. Let's see.
includes when you're entering the listing itself. If you're not doing it today or later on this week, and you're entering next week and forget something that you know we went over, give us a call.
Okay. And Artie, thank you for the question. If you need help in the future, who do we contact in SFAR? You can do one of two things. You can email us at mls@sfrealtors.com. You can also call us, and I never remember the phone number, Andrew. Do you have that one off the top of your head?
Yes, 415-831. Oh, I had it. Hold on. 415-831-8500 and option 3 for the MLS department.
Um, if you get uh, if you get a recording saying, "Hey, we're busy with other members," go ahead and leave a message with your name, your six-digit MLS ID number,
Hmm.
and a brief description of what you'd like us to help with. Doesn't have to be soup to nuts, but just a brief, "Hey, I have a question about entering a new listing, or I can't find this district," something like that, so we
Yeah.
have a bit of a idea where we're looking for when we call you back. And we do promise to respond within 24 hours on voicemails. Same for emails. Um, but we are a small staff, but we're a mighty one. Let's see.
Yes, we are.
Elsewise, here in the questions, is there leased parking off-site? Should that be posted in the parking section of the listing?
Oh, your
Okay.
favorite.
Thank you. No, that is an excellent question because it does come up and it is an important factor when people are looking for properties in San Francisco. Is there parking available? And leased parking is valuable to the buyers, but it does not count as an amenity included in the sale of the property because it's not included irrevocably in the deed of the property. So if you have parking that's on site and included in the deed such that, it's as much a part of the property as the bedroom, the bathroom, the patio that's looking out over the bay, then you include it in the checkbox, in the data, in the listing. If it is leased parking, whether it's revocable within the building or it's 2 blocks away through Bob's parking lot, you can reference it briefly in the private remarks saying leased parking available. You can give some more description of it in the private remarks, parking available 1 block away, $400, blah, 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 and leave it at that. Again, the reason for this is that the comps for properties with parking versus comps for properties without parking do vary. And so we want to make sure that the information you're putting in there data-wise is going to match up to, apples to apples, oranges to oranges. If you have more questions on that one, again, feel free to drop us a note at MLS@sfrealtors.com, and we'll be happy to discuss that with you. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
let's see here. And I think, did HUD drop that address in the, yes, in
Indeed,
the
I did.
webinar chat, there's the address. Good. Let's see here. Next up on our list, um, Jane, if you're seeing that you're saying that the email has gone to a junk file, um, let us know. Sometimes we've seen a typo on that, or sometimes people will use an older address for the inbox. But if you're emailing MLS@sfrealtors.com, it should not be bouncing. But if you see that, definitely let us know. Thank you.
Yeah, that
Let's
might also be a rule that you set up on accident. Um, Sometimes we have to initiate the email, so you can give us a call too, and we can try to figure that out.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Looks like we've got all of the pending questions have been addressed. And
Okay.
again, I want to thank you for the parking question. That is a very popular topic. I will also mention that if you want to read up on the rules of the MLS, it is available through the MLS itself. Um,
It's also available right here in the listing entry page. So if
yep,
you come to this red text, you can right click on this, open a new tab, and it opens up the PDF of the MLS rules if you have any questions or concerns about that.
yep.
If not,
Let's.
you can also find it under links and documents. I won't click on it now because it'll take me out of this page, but
Mhm.
when you click on links and documents, you'll have a list of links that you can access. One of those, of course, is the SFAR rules and regulations.
Let's see
Um,
here.
Real quick, RJ, let me go over this
Sure,
for
go ahead.
just because you mentioned it earlier for showing contacts and putting that in the remarks. Again, you are allowed to do that in private remarks, but you also have this field here. And the reason we didn't go over it is because we were in required fields and primary showing contact type is not required. However, if you select something, it will populate some required fields like the primary showing contact name and their contact phone number. So just keep that in mind. You have that option as well.
And that information will appear in the listing detail screen when you pop it up in the MLS, but it is not shared to the general public.
Correct. So
We want,
usually from here, what we would do, because it's all complete, is we would hit submit. Not going to do that
sure.
because we're using the office address and because this, of course, isn't really for sale. So I'm going to go ahead and save it as an incomplete so I can show you some other things that we discussed a little earlier. So it takes a while to save, but once you do so, it brings you back to your listing information page. Now, you have the option here to upload your virtual media, so your 3D tours, your aerial views, your 3D showcase, your flyers, your voiceover, your floor plan, the property site, all of that good stuff. You have the option, of course, for these in your drop down, and then once you select it, you're going to drop in the link to that. I recommend highlighting and just pasting. This way you ensure that you're updating the correct link and there's no hiccups. And then once you do that, you can hit save, and it will populate on your listing under virtual media. The other one I want to go back to is uploading and managing attached documents. This is what RJ was referring to earlier with um, your disclosures and your disclosure packets. You can do that here as well. So you would add it, and then you would select what it is, and you can go in from there. I'll do that just because I don't have any to select. And then, of course, uploading and managing your photos. I won't upload any photos, but I can go to a listing that has photos on it and show you how to manage them. So I'll do that now. Before I exit out of here, RJ, did you want to go over anything? You're muted if you are talking, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
One comment regarding the disclosures packet. The
Mhm.
reason you want to consider putting the link in your private remarks is that um, currently we have two options. There's disclosures.io, which has been around for a while, and the new kid on the block, which was created by the folks who gave us disclosures.io in the first place, PropDisc, um, for entering your disclosure packages. Disclosures.io, while it's more familiar to everybody because it's been around longer, is restricted in terms of its security features are tied to each individual MLS. It was created
Mhm.
before the data share. So if you load your disclosure packet in disclosures.io, anybody who's an SFAR MLS member can click on the button, pull up your disclosures from DIO, no problem. However, since we're sharing it outside of SFAR MLS, and let's say it's somebody down the peninsula who uses MLS listings, or to the North Bay and they're using berries, if they click on disclosures.io, DIO's security prevents somebody not of the originating MLS from linking into that resource. So you want them to see it, you want them to grab it, but they can't do it through DIO. They would have to use your reference link in the private remarks. PropDisk
Correct.
is building a system that reflects we've got shared data now. So the more you use PropDisk, the easier it's going to be for you and your fellow agents to access that data. End of sidebar.
Actually, that was a great sidebar. Thank you for mentioning that. So let me go home real quick and then pull up, see
And
view listing.
in anticipation of your photos, Andrew, we've got a question here.
Mhm.
Can we convert all photos to private with one click versus tagging each one separately?
Not one click, but you can do it pretty,
Two or
maybe
three clicks
two or
as
three
opposed
clicks.
to, yeah,
Yeah. So let's see. We'll go and mess with this one. I won't save any changes. One thing I will point out, you'll see that there are a bunch more selections here now that this is a live listing. It's coming soon listing, but I mean, it's live on the MLS. Um, we were limited before just because it was an incomplete listing. Now you'll see that you have the option to add it to a tour. You have the status information page, um, reverse prospecting, all this other good stuff. So let's go in here to upload pictures. So you have two clicks really. You have the option for select all. Then you're going to want to hit mark private. Okay, maybe four clicks. And hit OK, and then you're going to hit save and exit. I won't do this, of course, because this is not my listing, but you don't have to select all of them individually. You do have this option for select all on the right-hand side under actions.
Gentlemen, may I interrupt with just one quick point?
Sure.
Thanks. These guys have been doing such a great job. I've been silent the entire time, but there's a couple changes that are important for y'all to understand. Um, we have asked Rapatoni to make a change to our system so that when you upload the pictures, it will automatically select the pictures to go private and other than the primary. The reason for that is so that it's going to be easier downstream or down the road of this property. So these pictures are automatically marked private, which means they won't, once going offline or off market, just as Andrew's showing you, they will not be present on downstream sites like Zillow, etc. We get many, many phone calls about agents wanting to do this, and so this is a reaction to the market. We also like to say that today's listing is tomorrow's comp, so we want to keep the images available in the MLS so that you are able to do your job as a member in terms of running comps. So this is why we've made this change. The other thing I would like to mention is we have added a new feature um, regarding altered images or any images that are AI generated. I will drop an article in the chat, but just keep in mind, this is the new California law, Assembly Bill 723, that requires disclosure by the agent that the images are altered if they are happen to be altered. And we won't get into all the details here, but the link that I'm going to drop in here will give you the information that will help you make that decision. When you upload the image, there will be an option to select that this photo is digitally altered. And if the photo is digitally altered, you will select that toggle, and then a watermark will be dropped on the bottom left-hand corner of the image so that when it does go downstream to brokerage or vendor sites like Zillow, etc., they will see that watermark. Now, one further point is you might already be talking about this with your brokerage. I would expect you would be. You may work with a photographer and put a digitally altered watermark on there as well. And that's perfectly fine. Just keep in mind that when you're uploading that image, do not toggle the option in the MLS because you already have that disclosed onto the image. You've already added that. And the final piece is when you do upload that digitally altered image, you want to, the second image that you upload right after that should be a QR code or an example of the unaltered image. So I just want to make sure that you guys were aware of that. It's a brand new law, and it's likely going to take some time for us to all get used to it. But we have made changes into the MLS to accommodate. And with that, I'll drop in a couple links to those articles. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, Hud.
One thing I will say is you'll also notice that it gives you the revised flag and private went off market. So with HUD mentioning that that is going to be an automated feature in the near future, I'd like you guys to understand what off market means. So coming soon is technically an off market status, but the other statuses that are off market are pending, canceled, closed, and duplicate canceled, as well
And
as expired.
yep.
Yeah. So once those statuses hit, that's when your photos go private. So even though this happens or this will happen automatically when you upload them, they are still going to be public facing until those statuses are met. And that's a big concern with a lot of people. So I'd like to clarify that. And if you need any more information, if you have any other questions on that, feel free to ask, and we can elaborate a bit more.
Andrew, I'm going
Uh,
to piggyback off that for,
yeah, go for it.
I'll tell you one thing. Sometimes I see this coming up. You will get an offer that is contingent on for whatever reason, and the agent will go ahead and update the listing status from active to contingent, contingent show or contingent no show. Great,
Mhm.
fantastic. Waiting for the contingencies to clear and you proceed. Contingent is still an on-market status. It is still accruing days on market, and it is still subject to the expiration date deadline. So once you mark it as contingent, it is important that when the contingencies clear, you update it from contingent to pending. If the contingencies are still unresolved and you're coming up on your listing expiration, review that with your client and consider, do you want to extend the expiration date just so that the listing doesn't age out from underneath you unexpectedly. Small sidebar, but it reminded me of it.
Nice. Um, any other thing on photos before I get out of here?
Yeah, there was a question that came up
Okay.
about I'm going to answer this live. Can someone take a zip file and load directly from the zip file? I mean, that's how I'm interpreting the question into the MLS, and the answer is no. If you have a zip file, open it up on your computer, and then you would upload all of those photos into the MLS. And once they're in
Mhm.
the MLS, then you perform your your rearranging, your editing, your marking as private, etc. that way. But right now, Rapatoni does not have a way of opening a zip file for you on upload.
And speaking of rearrangement, this is going to be your grab tool. It's the two rows of three dots at the top right-hand corner. You're going to click and hold and then drag to the location in which you want to change the order. That's pretty much it. And then, of course, save and exit, which again, I will not do because this is not my listing, but that is how you do it. Unfortunately, you have to kind of do that one by one. So I always recommend to try to upload the photos in the order or as close to the order in which you want them, just to make your
And
life a little bit easier.
Andrew, you can do group drags. If you
Yeah, you
click
can
on,
do three or
yeah,
four, right? Like, well, more than that, but you can do it and do it that way. But
yeah,
if I'm not mistaken, it does fall into that same pattern, right? Or that same chronological order of
yeah,
21, 20,
yeah.
21, and 23, where you move them.
It'll move them in the same sequence that they were installed. But if
Yeah.
you
Okay.
have, let's say you have a bunch of photos that were not necessarily doing heavy lifting at the start of the photo stream, but you want to
Hmm.
keep them in there, you can drag them back to the end, so you're grabbing all at once. You don't have to, you never have to do
Yeah.
anything in the photos one at a time because that's your only option.
Perfect. All right. I will back out of here. Let me make sure you have unsaved changes. Yes,
We're not saving these changes. It's not our listing.
exactly. Like, I want to make sure I don't touch this. Um, yeah, I believe that is about it. We have about 9 minutes to spare. If there are any other questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Did you guys discuss days on market and cumulative days on market and all that?
I'll take that
We
now.
go for it.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are two qualities. There's days on market, cumulative days on market, CDOM. And the way they differ is that days on market is visible, quote unquote, to the public. It's going to be a visible tag on the listing. Cumulative days on market is really only seen by agents and by brokers. So days on market, the counter starts when the listing goes into active status. While you're incoming soon, it's visible in the MLS. It's meeting the requirements for mandatory submission, clear cooperation, so that everybody who's an MLS subscriber in our data network can see it. But days on market is sitting firmly at 0. You go active day 1, and it keeps progressing. Days on market can either be paused thanks to things like pending or the hold status, or they progress one day at a time. You can't run days on market backwards. CDOM is an indicator of the way I think of it is how much is the client shopping their listing from brokerage to brokerage. And it's a very handy tool for brokers, for agents, because the example I was given by one agent is, okay, the seller has a property that they are convinced is worth $2 million. And every comp on the planet comes back saying, no, in this condition, in this location, its market price is 1.4. Seller didn't want to hear that, so they bounced from client A, I'm sorry, from brokerage A to brokerage B to brokerage C, and you will see that thanks to the CDOM count. Um, in both cases, if a listing is going to appear with 0 days on market, then it has to be either, and it's going to stay with the same brokerage, it has to be unlisted for a minimum of 30 days. And then day 31 or later, you can enter a new listing entry in the MLS, and that new listing entry will start with 0 days on market. CDOM is the same way. Um, pardon me. If you want the CDOM count to show as 0, it has to be outside of the MLS for 30 days, day 31 or later, it'll go back to zero. So again, keep that in mind. And again, big reminder there, when the listing is incoming soon, days on market is not being counted. Days on market has not started. Days on market only start once it goes into active status. Same for CDOM.
Excellent description, RJ. One thing to add in terms to visibility of coming soon listings is you will see coming soon listings on as a participant and a member on the MLS. You will also see them in ZenList, which is our mobile version of the MLS. We didn't go over it today, but it is an application that has all the data of the NorCal Alliance that we like to say from Sacramento all the way to Monterey. You will see coming soon listings there, and you will see them if you're registered onto your brokerage website in the back end. We have made that data available only to brokers and applications that require a consumer or agent to log in. That would be like a Real Scout, or that would be MyTheo. Those are primarily applications that are used by agents to share listings with their clients. Coming soon listings are never public. You never see listings that are public in the coming soon status. If you happen to see them that are public, please do let us know. We're also have our own test to verify that. We want to protect the privacy of those listings. But coming soon listings are available in the areas that I just mentioned, and it's a case-by-case basis. We need to make sure that if it's a broker or a vendor, they're following all of our display rules, which we didn't get into too much. There's a lot of the MLS regulations that were reflected today. One of them is the fair display of those coming soon listings. So if you have additional questions about those rules, please feel to reach out to MLS at SF Realtors, and we will respond to those in time. Thank you.
Andrew, I wanted to add one other point here for folks.
Of course.
Regarding the data you put into the MLS, and HUD mentioned it briefly there, today's sale is tomorrow's comp. When you're creating your listing, and I understand entirely, everything is, you're being rushed or being pressured. You've got a bunch of different things to do. How quickly can you get it on? The more data that you put into the listing to describe the property fully and accurately, the easier it's going to be for sellers with that particular itch that they need to have scratched, find your listing. The MLS is a powerful tool. People can search on it for all sorts of amenities, and we'll cover that in a future training on searching. But they can only find it if it's in the listing. If it's not in the listing, they can't find it. So again, fireplaces, outdoor patios, views of the bay, anything that's going to give a fuller, broader, richer picture of that property, that listing, that's going to get more people with cash in hand to your doorstep, you want to include that.
Absolutely.
We have a question. Wanted to know, would there be a disclaimer for AI generated pictures? There, HUD, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here. There is not. So just to take it back a step here, the law as written, it puts the onus on the agent and the broker. The MLS is facilitating this by adding the watermark. The watermark is the disclaimer. So there's no text disclaimer. The watermark is the disclaimer. You can go further, and each image that you upload, there is an opportunity to input a caption. I would encourage you also to put in the caption there. Now, the reason I say you can go further by doing the caption is it's not guaranteed that any downstream provider, meaning Zillow or Redfin or Compass or whatnot, is going to recognize those captions. That's why we put watermarks on images, because those can never be removed. You'll notice that every image has the SFAR logo. Every image that's uploaded into our MLS has the SFAR logo on the right-hand side of every image. So now that if you're uploading a AI-generated image or digitally altered, then you will put the disclaimer on the left-hand side. In that article I dropped in there into the chat, We have references to AB 723. If you have not read that, I strongly encourage you to read that as a practicing agent. I'm sure your brokers have also made that information available. And the other part I will say is that this is new, right? We're going to see how this goes this year. We're here to facilitate, but we don't want to overreach. We want to make sure that we're following the rules of the law, and the requirement is the watermark. Secondary requirement is that there is a link to the unadulterated image, and that would be uploading a example of the image. It's the secondary picture right after the AI generated image, or uploading a QR code that someone can scan and review. So again, I'll see if I can find that the information on the AB 723. But if you click on that link, it'll direct you to our article. But at the top, there will be a link directly to the AB 723. So again, the watermark is the disclosure in this case. We're used to disclosures in other ways, right? We have disclosures for floor plans or disclosures for square footage. This is image related, so that's why we're doing the watermark. I hope that answers your question, RT.
Thanks. All right. If there is nothing else, I think we are good to wrap this up.
I think so too. Want to thank everybody for attending today's session on how to enter a listing. And keep in mind, we're not expecting to have committed everything here to memory.
Mhm.
We look things up all the time. We expect folks to do the same. Again, I reiterate this. If you're not sure, if you go, I think this is right, but I'm not positive, reach out to us, ask us before you commit something into the MLS, because
Absolutely.
we're here to help. We're here to make it as easy as possible for you. And along those lines, in a couple of weeks, we're going to have a session on the flip side to all the data that you've been busily entering, which is how to search for data in the MLS and find listings that your buyer side clients are going to be interested in.
Yes, we have a few classes coming up next month, so keep an eye out for that. And like RJ said, any questions come about, just feel free to reach out. Um, thank you guys again. We look forward to hearing from you and helping you out in the future.
Be well, everyone. Bye.